I thought I'd share this repair with you, or the fix anyway. So what we've got is this transmission plate here that sits loose on top, and bits of rocks and shit actually sit inside there. They sort of collect from the top, they fall down between the transmission plate and the cross member, and they jam in behind here, and the vibrations will stop for a little while until you get moving again, and then they start to rattle again. And then the bottom plate sits up against the cross member, but there's no cushioning at all, so it's sort of sitting metal on metal, the same with the other one, metal on metal, but it's a loose fit because of the spacers. Now we've got to keep the spacers in there because I'm sure that was part of the engineered solution for these bash plates. So what I'm going to do is clean all the crap out from in here, and then put insertion rubber in here, and then another piece between the bash plate and the cross member. So it's going to be 2 bits of insertion rubber, then some good quality bolts clamping the whole thing together. So I'll clean it out. It'll be too noisy to do it on the camera, and then I'll get back to you. Alright, I've cleaned that out. This bash plate, the transfer case bash plate was actually sitting up about 1/4 inch because of all the mud and crap, and there was a lot of debris on top of this plate too. So a lot of it, you're travelling along and things bounce around and get underneath here and between there and the cross member, and so it's constantly moving, and it's just not a great joint there. They should have probably made a bracket of some sort that bolted firmly to this, then bolted the brackets, the plates to that new bracket. The way it is like this, this is sort of a half-ass fix, but I'm hoping that it'll work. So what I have here is a couple of bits of insertion rubber. This is about 1/8 of an inch thick, thereabouts. So I'm going to put one piece on the top half, the thicker piece on the top half, and that will hopefully stay put. So let's see how I go getting that in. Now I'm hoping, because this is long enough, it will actually be held in by the bolts, because the bolts are right on that rubber there. So hopefully that'll hold it. And I don't know how the bottom one's going to go, whether it will hold or not. I think what I might have to do is yeah. So it looks like what I'll have to do is make the insertion rubber with holes, so that the holes will actually locate the rubber so it won't fall off. Because I think if I put this just loose in here like this and clamp it, I think over time it's just going to vibrate and come out. So we'll see. Okay, I'm back again. So I've made up these new bits of rubber, and try to fit them in without losing the bloody things this time. So I made them a lot bigger, and so hopefully I've made those holes in the right spot. Looks good. And top one. Yeah, the top one's tricky. We'll get it in though. Oh well, I could always use my head and use the jack. All right. I kept telling my wife that the reason we bought this house was because of the good opportunity of being close to town and all the rest. The real reason was because it's got a pit. And I can tell you, after owning a Range Rover for 20 years, having a pit is a fantastic thing. So I can get this job done relatively easily, and any jobs on the vehicle relatively easily, because of the pit. Just makes life so much easier. Alright, see how that goes. Oh, what a pain in the neck. I've changed out the bolts for a high quality stainless steel. They're not perfect, they should be actually a grade 8. This is all I've got at the moment, so I'll use these, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to fix our problem. So I'll still use the washers and the spacers, and I'll have to do it this way. Very tricky. So that's what I'm saying, with a separate bracket you wouldn't have to worry about all this crap. Alright, because it's being a pain in the arse, what I'm going to do is use a bit of spray fix, which is just a glue I use for do a bit of sewing, a bit of canvas work and those sort of things. It's part of a hobby, and I figure that if I use a bit of that spray fix, it'll hold that top bracket in place. So we'll see. All right. Yes, all the shit's going to stick to it as well, I'm sure. But at least while I'm doing this, it'll all stay together, I hope. Well, it seems to be working. I just need it to stay in place until I can get it back down on the, like that. Like that. That's it. Perfect. So that's step one. Now we get the other one. Won't need to stick it down. Just make sure it's clean. And start putting the bolts in. So the original bolts are a bit shorter than this, and part of the drama of putting these plates on was trying to get all of them in. And lined up. Because you're all working against, you know, just the little bends and whatever. Okay, now maybe. There we go, I've got the first one. Isn't that a pain in the ass? So that's number one. Right, that's number one. So this looks like it might work. So let's see. Next one. Just hoping now when this thing goes along, this is tight enough that it's not going to make fart noises. That's all I want, this thing to be making noises. Wind rushing through it. Oh, number two. They don't quite line up. Now you can see if the bolts were a little bit shorter, there's no way you can get the bloody things in easily with one person anyway. So nearly there. Anyway, that's the. I'll get the other bolts in and we'll come back and have a listen to it and see if it's solved the problem. Alright, that's it. So the two bits of insertion rubber are in. So there's no metal surface touching another metal surface on the plate. Solid as a rock, no vibrations. So it looks pretty good. So we'll see how it goes over time. I'm concerned that once the insertion rubber wears out, it might start getting loose, but you know, you've got to get under the car and do your oil changes and all those sort of things. So checking your bash plates are just a very good idea, because they get a lot of punishment, especially when you're using those things what they're intended for. And yeah, I think that's a reasonable solution. Cheers.